Okay, I know I'm a bit late for this, but I wanted to cover Gladiator in honor of Gladiator 2 because it's such a great movie and it's probably one of my favorite movies. It's one of the first, I'll say maybe, movies I watched as a kid where I was like, oh wow, movies are really, really great. I like movies. Um, but Gladiator, the story with this new format that we're going to try. So, again, story. It's really great. I actually think it's fairly straightforward. You got the interesting dynamics there with Maximus and with Commodus, and then Marcus Aurelius there, kind of sowing the seeds of doubt and their kind of brotherly dynamic, where Maximus doesn't seem to really care as much for it, but then the whole, coup and everything like that. It's not really any spoilers, but it is whatever, a 20-year-old movie now, I guess, at this point, so it doesn't really matter if there's spoilers. But I think the story is really solid. Um, the ending now, I guess in hindsight, not that this is important, the ending now is maybe a little less meaningless once you've watched Gladiator 2, but I think it's still important. The acting, oh my god, this is like some of the best acting I think I've ever seen. You got Russell Crowe absolutely killing it as Maximus. He's a pretty, I'll say, one-note character, but he's also not. He's got some layers there with his kind of, I don't know, not his sadness at war and things like that, and the whole dynamic with his family, and then with Lucilla and all of that, I think is really well done, and I think Russell Crowe absolutely killed it. It's one of his best performances, and I think it was really great. And then, oh my god, Joaquin Phoenix as Commodus is insane. He does so much with that character. He is a great villain, and he's not even, like, I guess a villain. He's just a crazy, or, I don't know, not crazy. But it's just that character is so layered and so multifaceted, and Joaquin Phoenix, I think, plays him incredibly well. I think it's one of his best performances. And then Richard Harris's Marcus Aurelius is just great. I mean, Dumbledore, come on, R.I.P. And as well with Oliver Reed as Proximus, which is really too bad, the whole kind of behind the scenes of what happened with him and some of the filming that they had to do to kind of deal with his death there, which is also quite sad. But the cinematography is beautiful. The opening battle is really, really great. It all opens quite nicely. And throughout, I think the cinematography really holds up and is really great. The look of the film, too, like the actual film grain and film stock, is incredible. I love it. The action, too, I'd say the action is kind of not necessarily from its time. Like, it's got some fast-paced cuts, but it's also holding on some action and things like that, which is really great. Also, the real tigers that they used and then kind of comped in and layered to get the whole action scenes there was crazy. And then the score, it's like a classic, iconic Hans Zimmer score. I listen to it all the time. But it's also not just him. It's Lisa Gerard, and she, I think, did some of the vocals, but she also is credited as a composer, so I'd assume she helped compose and did a lot of the vocals, because when you look at her IMDb, she's done vocals for all sorts of movies and for a whole bunch with Hans Zimmer, and maybe there's a relationship or something between them that I don't know about, or they like work together all the time. I have no idea. But then the editing too, super pacing is just solid. You got setup, payoff, setup, payoff, setup, payoff, where you kind of are pushing through the story in a really dynamic, great way. And then the sound design of all the crowds and the swords and the action is really, really great, and I really enjoy it. But overall, this movie is definitely a 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. It's a great film. One of the best movies of all time, in my opinion. I love it.